Hello friends and strangers out there on the internet, and a special warm welcome to new subscribers. So this week's post is it's not the one I intended to do, so it's going to be a little bit different than normal. So normally yesterday is my main painting day at my studio, a Sunday, but I didn't. I was a bit lazy and I didn't go painting at all because the British Open golf tournament was on TV, and I got suckered into watching it. I just had to see who was going to win. And it was just great. So today is going to be a little bit different, but I think you may find it interesting anyway, because I think you're going to find out a little bit more about what it's like to live here in Norway and village life. So let's get into it. I'm a bit of an amateur golfer myself, and when I lived in the UK, I lived very near to Royal Birkdale, maybe about an hour's drive or less from my home. And I've actually been to Royal Birkdale to watch the British Open twice. First time in 1991 and the second time in 1998. And both times were great experiences. Just want to show you the view here, guys. It's just like one of the best views in the whole of my village right here. Just let me show you here. Check that out. It's a little bit more cloudy today, but it's still very warm, and it's a nice breeze in the air. And I seem to remember the weather was almost exactly like this when me and my brother went to watch the British Open in 1991. And I was 27 at the time, and I'd actually only just started playing golf. I was literally a beginner. And my brother said, let's go to see the British Open. So we bought tickets, and somebody advised to go on the Wednesday because it's the practice day, and you know the players are more relaxed, I guess. So that's what we did. We went, bought tickets for the Wednesday, and at the time my hero, let's say, was Fred Couples, and I really wanted to meet him. I'd read a lot about him in golf magazines and stuff like that. So I was really keen on meeting him, but we knew, my brother said, don't get your hopes up. So Anyway, we went and it was just fantastic. And we actually followed Gary Player around on his practice round. And afterwards, I queued up. Like it was like a long queue for this tent to get Gary Player's signature because I'd actually been watching him. I wanted to get his autograph. When it came to my turn, he looked at me and smiled, and I said, "You know, me and my brother followed you around this morning." He said, "Oh, did you? What did you think of me play?" I said, "Yeah, I thought your bunker play was amazing." I said, "Although one shot I did think was a bit lucky." And he laughed and he said, "Yeah, there's an old saying, the more you practice, the luckier you get." And then he started giving me some tips on bunker play. And we was like chatting away. It was really nice and friendly. And then my brother interrupted us, my older brother. And he said, Arthur, there's people waiting." And Gary Player was not happy about that. He looked at my brother as if to say, and he said to my brother, "Listen," he said, "I like it when people ask questions. I'm not a machine to sit here just giving autographs all day," he said. And I thought that was great. And here's the thing, you see, guys. Ever since, pretty much most of my life, I've had this innate belief that everybody is of equal value. And I don't know where that came from, but it always seems to have had that in me, that everybody is of equal value. And I don't mean that in a sort of communist way. I mean it in, because I don't mean that you shouldn't respect or admire people for their achievements in life. But in the end, we're all human beings. And just because of, the chances of us being born is millions and millions to one. So just that alone, we should give each other respect and treat each other of equal value. And I'm wondering, that that's the reason why I fitted into Norwegian life so well. Because here in Norway, the society is exactly that everybody is of equal value. Again, not in a communist way. A lot of people say that Norway is socialist and communist, and in some senses they are, but it's more like that they see each other as family. And you wouldn't see your brother or your sister as being of more value than you, would you? And there's actually a wonderful saying in Norway that says, "Nobody is above and nobody is below." So I thought that was pretty great of Gary Player. A very Norwegian thing to do is to treat me as, somebody of value, considering that he was a living legend in the golf world. And anyway, the day was getting on and I hadn't met my hero, Fred Couples. And I was getting a bit down about it. I thought, oh, come all this way. And guess what happened, guys? There he was. And he coming onto the practice putting green. And I ran over to him and told him that, I was a big fan of his. Actually, he was much taller than I imagined. And he was so friendly. And, he was talking and, yeah, what can I say? He's a great guy. All in all, it was a great day. And then so many years later, in 1998, we went again. Only that time, we only went on the main day. And we did see Tiger Woods, which was great, was amazing. And we actually was in the crowd on the 18th when Justin Rose chipped in. So we actually witnessed that. The thing is, you see, when I emigrated to Norway, I kind of figured that I'd have to give up playing golf, because especially here in West Norway, because I figured, well, there can't be any golf courses here. Here in Western Norway, it's only 5% of flat land. The rest of it is mountains and fjords. So I thought there just can't be any golf courses here, so I gave my golf clubs away, and that wasn't great. I may have noticed I've used the word great a few times here. And the word for great in Norwegian is flott, F-L-O-T-T, flott. And Norway is a flott country. It also has flott nature, but in all types of nature there are predators. And one of the predators in Norway is called flott, spelled slightly differently but said the same, F-L, and then it's the A with the little circle and two TTs. And flott are not flott, they're not great. And it took for me to get bitten by one of them and contracted Lyme disease for me to find out that I was wrong, that there are golf courses in Norway, in Western Norway. Yeah, I got in 2015, I was bitten by one of these flott, and I didn't know anything about these things, and I contracted Lyme disease, and yeah, that was not great. And I was so bad, I was flew by helicopter ambulance over the mountains to the nearest hospital, and I was in there for a week and sent home by taxi after that, and told that it was going to be a long battle. And it was, and I don't really want to talk about it, but let's just say it was one of the worst years of my life. It took just over a year to recover, and then I had a year of depression because of they called it post-traumatic stress reaction to what I'd gone through. And then the doctors said, yeah, you've got depression, Arthur, you should do it seeing a psychologist. How can I say, I had a negative perspective on what psychologists do. And she said to me, it's an offer, Arthur, it's free. And by the way, all that treatment, a helicopter ride, the treatment in the hospital, which was first class, and sending me home in a taxi, all that didn't cost me anything, because the healthcare system here in Norway is flott. It's great. So anyway, she said to me, I recommend it. She said, tell you what you do, Arthur, have one session with the psychologist, and if you don't like it, then you don't have to go. So I agreed to that. So a couple of weeks later, there I am, sat outside her office. It's got psychologist written on the door. And in my head, it's this kind of like a grey-haired lady with round glasses. And, I had this teacher from my school days who was very strict. That's kind of the image I had in my head. And then the door opened and walked out this 25-year-old young woman who looked like a model. She was just stunning. And I thought to myself, it'll go well. And I saw that psychologist for about a year, and she was actually brilliant. The care I got, and it was just outstanding. She really knew her stuff, and I can recommend anybody who has a period of depression to see psychologists, because they really know what they're doing. You learn so much about yourself and how you can deal with life better. So anyway, on the very last day that I was seeing her, she said to me, "Listen, Arthur, I recommend that you take up an active hobby because it's good for the mind, maybe walking in the mountains, that kind of thing." And I said, "Well, years ago I used to play golf." And she said, "Yeah, well, why did you stop?" I said, "Well, there's no golf courses here in this part of Norway." She said, "Arthur, there's one 10 minutes drive down the road from where we are in this hospital." I said, "What?" So, yeah, I started playing golf again, bought myself a set of clubs, and became a member, which I still am today. I'm a member of the golf club called Sunnfjord Golf Club, and that's actually about an hour and a half drive from where I live in this village, and I have to drive over a mountain. But it's a lovely drive, there's hardly any traffic, and you go through some wonderful country, so you get some wonderful views there, so I love that drive. Yeah, so I started playing golf again, although it did take a while. Let's see, so I think it was 2016, 17 maybe, I started again. Can't remember, around about that. And took some time to get back into the swing of things, because the season here, the golfing season, is very short here in Norway because the winters are long. But eventually I did get back to a level that I was happy with. And I just wanted to mention something else about Sunnfjord Golf Club, which I'm a member of. When they heard that I had suffered depression because of Lyme disease and I joined the club, they just welcomed me with open arms. And whenever I play there, it's almost like I'm visiting a member of my family. They're so friendly there. The workers, the greenkeepers, they all wave to me, and it's just like flot. It's great. And if you're going to play there, it works out about 35 pounds, maybe $40 around. But I pay about $500 a year for membership, and I can play as many times as I want under that membership, and it also gives me an official handicap. So I enjoy that drive over the mountain, and that's usually during the summer months. And what I'm trying to say here is that although things can go wrong here in Norway, like you can become really ill like I did, the infrastructure here is fantastic. And that infrastructure, like the healthcare, which is all paid for by the taxes that I pay, it's all there to help you get through it, even your mental health. It's all just flot. It's great. And the general perspective, I would say, of Norwegian society is that everybody should have a decent quality of life, and they really do believe that. And it's kind of like you're part of one big family. Even in village life, like where I live is a small little village, that life is flot, life is great. And just to prove it, I'm here now. I've brought you here to show you. Just need to walk that. It's behind me here. Just let me twist this around to show you. I just need to walk a little bit further down to show you what it looks like. So 2 years ago, here you go. You see this yellow building here? See it here? This yellow building here was built, it's an extra sports centre, and it was a gift paid for by the local council here. And guess what's in that building? A golf simulator. And that's where I'm going now to practice some golf, because after watching the British Open, I want to practice my swing. And in this golf simulator we have like a membership. There's about 20 in my village that play golf. Every week we have tournaments, and I'm the only artist in the whole group, which is why they've asked me to do something for our little club membership. And here's the funny thing, guys. Because, like I said, I'm the only artist in the group, in our little golfing group on the simulator here in my village, I've been asked to do a mural. So this wall here, I'm going to do a great big painting here, and it will feature all the golfers in our group, because honestly, there's some of the guys in our group, they have some really bizarre swings. So I'm going to have a great time doing it. It'll be like a funny painting. So if you guys stick around, or if you decide to subscribe to my channel, at some point you'll be able to see how this painting looks like. And you know the mad thing, when they opened this new sports centre for everybody, it was aimed at to try and keep the young people staying in this village, because over the years a lot of young people have been complaining, saying there's not enough things here, and that was one of the reasons why they gave this as a gift, and it's worked. A lot of young people are staying here. A lot of the young people who moved away to Bergen are moving back here, so it's worked. And you know, the funny thing is that when they opened this sports centre 2 years ago, it was opened by the local mayor, and guess who was asked to give him a golf lesson after just, I mean, how hilarious is that? Så hvis du kopierer meg kanskje, kan vi se.
Dette her er grunnleggende for en ordfører.
Ja.
Skal du vinne røyster, så
Neste den til det fingret der.
Til det fingret der.
Sånn.
Ja.
Og så tom. Og så føler at du kan lyfte slik. Slik. Ok. Og så høyre hand. Fingret. Ja. Slik. Og så den andre fingret rundt. Sånn. Det føler dra.
Ja.
Slik.
Okay.
Slik.
Ja.
Der.
Ja, nå leser jeg den.
Her er detaljene viktige.
Ja.
Her er detaljene.
Her er
Så
også
der.
viktige.
Og så
Så har fått litt lenger åpent, så det har god sånn stabil, sant?
Så bøyer du litt i knettet i. Ikke så mye. Ikke så mye, men en liten knekk. Sånn, ja. Det er.
Så, tilbake.
Ok.
Så god tips. God tips. Føl at du kaster kullet.
Ja.
Så du skal så.
Men skal jeg liksom gi kraft, eller skal jeg...
Nei,
Nei.
Nei,
bare svinge.
Ok.
sånn.
Ja.
Du skal kaste kølla til dunders.
Ja.
Svinge
Ok,
med en
Men ikke slipp av.
svingkast. Ikke slipp av. Med svingkast. Eller en stein, eller hva du tenker.
Ja,
Bare
ja.
lempe den til dunders.
Og skal jeg treffe skjermen? Ja, bare ikke ødelegge noe her i dag.
Ja,
Oi,
Yes.
Tøft, det var jo
Var beina og...
Ja, ja, ja.
So anyway, guys, I just want to leave it there. I need to get some practice done now. And I thought it would just be an interesting talk to show you life in, you know, in a little village in Norway, that the quality of life, even in small villages, it's very high. And I want to show that Norway is a flot country. Like I say, when things go wrong, the infrastructure is there to help you get through it. Because, you know, nobody is above and nobody is below. And think that about yourself, guys. No one is above you and no one is below you. So, with that said, as usual, take care, give care, and be careful out there. And don't be strangers. And visit me again on R2 Reimagined. See you guys. Have a flot week.